All right, the key levels indicator finally finished and ready for showtime. This is something I've been working on for a while, and I really like the way it's turned out. So I'm going to summarize this for you guys. First of all, let's go ahead and take a look on the left side. So this is basically comprised of daily levels. So levels that calculate once a day. So you've got the open, high, low, and close daily. You get the Fibonacci on daily bars. You've got whole numbers, which also factor in to create zones. And then you've got pivots, and that's various kinds of pivots. I won't go through all the kinds, but by default, we're just showing the floor trader pivots. So we'll just take a look at a few charts. So this is today's Nasdaq. It's September 7th, 2021, a Tuesday. So you see here, as we hover over some of these levels, move our mouse over here, you can see here you've got the pivot point from yesterday and the pivot point from 3 days ago. So those overlapped to form a zone. You also have here the high from 5 days ago and the middle, which is the 50% between the high and the low, yesterday and the day before. And then lastly, this bottom zone is a combination of several opens and closes. So you've got the close of 3 days ago, the close of 5 days ago, and an open of 2 days ago. So what I love about this is we have all the levels on here, but really we're only seeing most of them if they overlap to form a zone. You can see here how in the Nasdaq we caught the low here at about 9:35 on the open. We caught the low right before 10 o'clock, and then lastly the low right here of the day. Now what's amazing is as we shoot up, you could be stopped out going short here. These levels I was going to show you guys did actually, yesterday's close did provide a reaction throughout these little hiccups. Right here's a reaction off of yesterday's close for a short, and then the fib. But what's amazing to me is these highs and lows. These to me are the most powerful thing, because you can see right here, right before 11 o'clock, we caught the high. And it's so simple, but it's based off of yesterday's high, and because of this indicator, we know that this is also the high of 4 days ago, which is last Wednesday. So with these two highs overlapping so closely, I mean, if we zoom in here, we'll see that they're within a tick of each other. So with those highs overlapping right there, that is a low risk trade as well. And then again, pulled back, and we can't explain every bounce, right? But here again, this was some resistance right here, but once it broke through, we did find resistance, and here's an example of a whole number. So we're considering this a zone because you have the high of 3 days ago along with the whole number of 15,700. So, and again, prior support becomes resistance, or prior resistance becomes support in this case right here. So I'm super pleased with how this project has turned out with overlapping these levels. So again, let's take a look at the ES. So when it opened here, we did catch the low of the day at this zone. This zone acted as resistance. Not as good of a looking chart, but again, this bounce right here off of this open and close combo, and then these zones up here, you've got a pivot point from 3 days ago, open and close from several days ago. Lots of factors there. So looking at the 20 range on Nasdaq, here's more zoomed in view of what we saw on the Nasdaq, which is amazing. After the 9:30 open, you get the initial bounce and through yesterday's close and things, but your pivot point provided a nice support trade here. Again, low risk, high reward. Up to the next level, you're talking, you could risk, say, 10 points on this and ride it up to here. So I'm still learning to trade this, but I think the concept is absolutely valuable and powerful. Here's again your highs from yesterday, and then the high from 4 days ago, creating a level there. So this is the main features. I'm going to just pull up the settings just to remind you guys of what's in these levels, right? So I'm not going to go through every detail, but to create these zones, we're looking at the high and low from the last 20 days, the close of the last 5 days, the open of the last 5 days. So it's looking back 5 days, getting all of that, combining it into zones. Same thing here for Fibonacci. We're looking back at the middle 5 days. Extensions only 1 day. So these are my default settings. This is what I like, but you can obviously increase this. Say you want to factor in the extensions from the last 5 days. You can do that. You got your whole numbers option here, and then you've got your various pivot options. I've only turned on the floor pivots for the last 3 days, and then the R1, or the resistance and support pivot levels for the last 1 day, and the rest of these are off. So you got Fibonacci pivots, Camarilla pivots, DeMark pivot point, support resistance, Woody's pivot point, and support and resistance. So yeah, these 20, 5, 5, 5, 1, and then down here 3 and 1. This is what's going into these levels. So each day when these levels are calculated, we redo everything to create new zones. So yeah, that's a quick overview. Lastly, I'll show you the current day settings, which I had turned off for now, but the current day settings are going to show you some developing levels. So here at a half hour into the market, Nasdaq, we plot our first levels. This is the high and low for the current day so far. So then what we expect is some of these fibs to be support and resistance throughout. This I'm less passionate about, but I still think it's important. Here you see we get a recalculation on the hour at 11 o'clock. So we calculated at 10, we calculated at 11. This extension outside of the high-low did provide resistance combined with our whole number up here. So eventually these are going to be combined to where this would create a zone. But right now the current day levels are just a completely, if you see here, a completely separate on-off button. So yeah, and then lastly, I'll just kind of cover a few of these things. So if I turn off the current day, the zones can be turned on and off, but I would leave them on. Individual levels can be turned on and off, and then the history. So the history can really get cluttered. So what I recommend by default, so if I turn the history on, now we can see this high from 2 days ago, this middle from 3 days ago, this pivot point from 2 days ago, right? But turning the history off declutters the chart. And now we're only showing history if it creates a zone. So for example, I still see this pivot point from 3 days ago because it's a part of this zone. Or I still see this high from 5 days ago and this middle from 2 days ago because it's a part of a zone. Same thing with this high 3. I still see it because it's a part of the zone. So history being off, again, this thing is just plug and play. You put it on your chart, it's good to go. Customize the way that I would recommend it to be customized. But I put these options in there because I want you guys to play with it. I want you guys to look at it and get back to me and say, hey, did you ever look at this? Did you ever see this? So yeah, now I've opened a few more tabs. I just want to take a look at crude oil. And you tell me if these levels matter or not. Again, this is just, for me, it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. So I did it. But it's combining levels. So in crude, we've got a lot of zones in here looking way back. So crude's trading back into some territory from the last 20 days. We did catch the low down here. A lot of these, again, you have to question what's the validity, and that's fair. Looking at the day session in crude, the open at 9, not a lot to glean from this, but I'm just trying to show you guys every chart. Same thing on gold. Let's take a look. So gold, yeah, 820 open. Our S1 did catch a bounce. Again, we're only showing that alone because it is yesterday. So we're giving the most weight to yesterday's levels. Even if they're not a part of a zone, we want to see yesterday's S1 pivot level, which gave us some resistance here. here you had like a cluster of zones, which is interesting. Should look at the logic behind that. And then up here at the top, we just had a ton of opens, closes, a fib, a middle, and a pivot point from 3 days ago that did provide our resistance up here. So if we turn on the history, we can see that, okay, this is legit, right? So this is showing every level now on this gold chart. And then you can see where we have more than 2 levels within a certain amount of space, we create a zone. So we're not as concerned about these highs and lows here, this low, this high, this low, because they don't really combine with anything else, right? They're not combined with anything else, they're just by themselves. So that's why by default I just say turn history off. But this is a cool low right here with this fib from yesterday combined with the high of 12 days ago, and then this one here, it was a key level. I mean, there's no denying that. If you were zoom in on this, bounced here, it came back up to here and sold, and then broke through, came back up into here and sold. In fact, this is worth just going to a 1 minute chart so you can actually see this. So here's gold coming down here. Are you trying to buy these? I wouldn't, but I would use these as sells, right? You want to trade with the trend. So as it's coming down, you're looking to sell here, right? When it pulls back up in. Same thing when it comes down into here. You're looking to sell prior support, becomes resistance. You're looking to sell. And then we caught the low down here with that level. So yeah, that's a quick overview of this and how it works. You can reach out to our team, bottom right corner of the website if you have any questions. But we look forward to earning your business. And this is a continuously improving indicator. I'm in this with you guys. I'm trading with you guys. So would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching.